What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Split Decisions. I'm Patrick,
And I'm Justin.
and we're here to break down UFC Fight Night Denver, Namajunas versus Cortez. Coming off a little layoff, a little 1 week, 2 week layoff on the fights. UFC 303. We finally, I would say, broke that cold streak.
Yeah, we did all right. And we did all right picks overall. Some of the plays, some of the reads that we made pre-card, pre-fight, a lot of those fights played out exactly pretty much how we said they would. A couple exciting finishes. There were a lot of fucking decisions on that card. A lot of fights went all three. A lot of boring fights. Even the MVP Gary fight, boring as hell. Robbery, honestly.
Hey, did get that grappling going. Did put it on MVP heavy in that first round.
Pat called out that crazy Gene Silva call, saying that he would get that knockout in the early rounds. He came out, honestly, was touching Jourdain pretty much from early in the first.
First person to ever KO. Charles Jourdain.
Yeah, he had never been finished, never been KO'd. Gene Silva is on this card this week too. Quick turnaround, crazy.
But we'll get into that though.
I hit a little 5-leg parlay, not anything too serious. It was a little $10 to like 126 something.
Solid
up here.
Solid dog play to open up the card.
Right. That dog play, that was a close fight. I wouldn't have been shocked if it went, the other way, but we had a good card overall, which we were due for it. So we're gonna be bouncing back even bigger this week. So let's go ahead and get into the first fight of the night, and it's going to be Josh Fremd and Andre Petroski. Josh Fremd is 11-5, 2-3 in the UFC. Pretty much a vanilla style fighter. He's good at striking, but he's not great. He's good at wrestling, not that great. He is coming into this fight off his loss to Kopylov, where he lost in the second round to those nasty body shots. On the other side, we have Andre Petroski. He's 10-3, 5-3 in the UFC, which sounds good, but that record's kind of padded with some cancer he fought early on. He's coming into this fight off that embarrassing loss to Jacob Malkoun, and then the one before that to Mikel Pereira when he came up to 185. As far as my pick goes for this, I can't pick Andre with any kind of confidence just off his last, how are you getting knocked out on somebody's hip from a takedown that you shot? Sloppy takedown, run into Jacob Malkoun's hip, knock yourself out.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
It's telling me that chin is suspect, right? And even though Josh Fremd isn't known to be a power puncher, he's got good enough striking that if Petroski can't get him down or hold him down, I think he can get caught. So just off that, it's not going to be a super confident pick, but give me Josh Fremd. I'll probably go by decision, but it wouldn't surprise me if he knocks Petroski out. So, what do you think?
I feel like Petroski probably going to be the better fighter, but Fremd's probably going to be the more durable, able to go the distance. Petroski's going to probably fade if it does go into the later rounds, if he can't get a finish early. I would say Fremd's decent all around, but he's not super good in any specific thing.
Right. He just
kind of got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
He has been taken down. He was taken down and subbed by Trayshawn Gore, who is not necessarily a sub guy. He's a power puncher.
He's just strong. He's just one of those
just a strong physical
boys.
guy. So that was kind of odd. He's gonna have better kicks and probably a better range fighter than Petroski.
Right.
Just able
better striking overall.
Yeah, just better technical striking overall. But I feel like Petroski's gonna have that power edge. Does have good wrestling and he's explosive early.
Yeah.
So maybe wins the first couple rounds. It's kind of hard one to call. Just I feel like whoever implements their game plan, you are getting Petroski at dog odds. I feel like he did open at a minus 130, minus 140 favorite, I believe, and
now he's a plus 105, so you can grab him at dog money.
Some decent value there, maybe. Give me Petroski. Let another split decision to open the card. I feel like this is a tradition.
Yeah, 4 cards now in a row, I think. 4 cards in a row starting out the very first fight.
I also do want to – I feel like – and I may be wrong on this info. I think this is the last fight in each of their contracts. So kind of a fighter go home type deal.
Big
maybe. So
big things on the line.
Definitely some motivation on both ends there. But yeah, give me Petroski. I could even see him maybe winning a decision. He did have a decision against GM3, but didn't look the best. Kind of got outstruck by GM3.
Gas in the third, big time.
Definitely gas, but it was a decent fight. Yeah, just give me Petroski, and I'll say by decision.
Nice. All right, so the next fight on the card is going to be Montel Jackson and Damon Blackshire.
We got Montel Jackson, 7-2 in the UFC against Damon Blackshire, 2-2-1 in the UFC. Blackshire gonna have good wrestling, good grappling. He is a black belt in BJJ. I feel like Montel probably gonna be the better striker.
Yeah.
More power in the hands. He's knocked down his last, I think, 5 opponents. All of them.
I didn't know he had that many in a row. I knew he had some knockdowns.
He's knocked down his last 5 opponents. So, and does also get his own offensive wrestling going as well. So maybe if Damon kind of negates that wrestling, we just get a striking fest. That -148 on Montel might look good. I do think Damon is a dog to look out for, though.
He's well rounded too.
Very crafty, grappler, twister, Jose Johnson,
which is wild. I think there's only 2 or 3 in the UFC period.
Had a good showing, short notice against Batista last time out. Batista is a very good prospect coming up in the rankings. Took them all 3.
Nice,
I believe he won a round.
Yeah.
So I feel like he does have good competition in his losses.
Right.
So that 2-2, I mean, it may look, 50%.
Right,
might look bad to somebody, but it's quality losses. Really a hard one to call. I would probably stay away personally. I think it's just going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hard one to put some money on confidently. But Montel, you're getting a better striker, decent wrestling himself. But I think I'm gonna take Damon Blackshire as a pick just because I've seen him tested against good competition, and I feel like this might even be lower level than what he's used to.
Right.
Down. I would like to add to. I don't feel like either of these people have been training. It wasn't a full camp.
No,
is what I'm trying to say. This was a short notice, put together. So just late notice opponent. But yeah, give me Damon Blackshire and give me Blackshire by decision.
Right. So it's 2 fights in a row that we're going to be split on this, just because I pretty much agree with everything you said. I mean, Montel will be the better striker, I think. He does have quality wins in the UFC over people like Ronnie Yaya, Julio Arce, JP Baz. They're not.
I would say that's low level competition.
They're not. I'm saying they're not like top 10, but the way he looked in those fights, he looked very good. He's got 7 KOs, 5 decisions. I mean, he's built to go all 3 if he needs to. Damon, like you said, 2-2 in the UFC, but his 2 losses are respectable losses to Mario Batista, Farid Basharat. He's got 2 wins by KO, 9 by sub. So he's definitely the more, grapple aggressive, grapple heavy type. He can get you to the ground and he can finish you if he gets you to the ground. So definitely not somebody that Montel wants to go to the ground with. But I just think Montel's striking. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. He has very good striking. He pumps his jab very well. He does have good takedown defense, good scrambles from what we've been able to see. We haven't seen it much, but good scrambles from what we've been able to see. I just think that his experience is really going to come into play too. That 7-2 record in the UFC. So I personally am going to go with the experience and the striking. I think he's going to be able to keep Damon Blackshire at range and just be able to piece him up. So give me Montel Jackson. I'm going to go by either a late round finish or a decision. So our next fight on the card is Luana Santos versus Mariya Agapova. Let me go over here. So
at least they're starting us out with a couple good fights.
Yeah.
Before we get to this.
Before we get to this one. So Luana Santos is 7-1. She's 2-0 in the UFC. She's a grapple-heavy Brazilian fighter who she's still pretty new to the UFC, so there isn't much to go off of at this point. She had an impressive fight last time out where she won a pretty dominant decision, but she did miss weight by 4 pounds. Came into that, didn't look good at all. Before that, she got Julian Miller out of there with a ground and pound. Really kind of just made her look like she didn't belong. On the other side, we have Mariya Agapova. She's 10-4, 2-3 in the UFC. This is her first fight in almost 2 years, though. She's also a grappler by nature, but she has the ability to finish a fight. I really don't have much input on this just because Luana Santos, like I said, is still new. Mariya Agapova has not fought in 2 years, so I can't really go back on her old fights and be able to say with confidence, like, oh, yeah, she's going to come out here and dominate, just based off the fact we don't know what she's been doing in her time off. If she's been training the whole time, if she had to, take time away for an injury, like there's really nothing to go off of as far as being able to give you guys like a confident pick. So I'm gonna take Luana Santos, right? I'm pretty sure she's the underdog in this too.
Nah, she's a negative 285.
Oh yeah, 285. Never mind. I'm tripping. I'm thinking of the next woman's fight. But I'm gonna take her just off her ability. She's been more active. She's younger. She's hungrier. I just think the fact that Mariya is going to come into this fight with a little bit of rust, being off for so long, I feel like she's just going to be in over her head. So give me Luana Santos. I don't even know what to call. I'm going to say decision just because it is a woman's MMA fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Luana finishes her. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. I don't love the line minus 285, and a low level women's MMA fight is always detrimental.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Mariya Agapova, I would say she's really good anywhere. She just kind of pressures forward and throws wild. Just in my opinion, just kind of tough.
Yeah.
She's coming off 2 second-round sub losses, so it seems like she just kind of puts it all in that first, and then maybe gives it up in the second. But Luana Santos coming off a 2-fight win streak, low competition though, and coming down in weight from 135. This is a 125-pound fight, right?
Right.
And she was missing weight at 135.
Yeah,
and now she's coming down
by 3 pounds, 139.
But that's crazy though, right?
Still,
you miss a weight at 135, and she's like, okay, let me drop another weight class.
Let me drop down on short notice too. This fight wasn't a full camp,
so. My pick would be Luana Santos, but I probably won't bet nothing. I just don't think Mariya Agapova is very good, period. And I just feel like Luana Santos is going to be better pretty much everywhere.
Right. It's risky, too, right? So this is one of those fights that are a trap fight for sure, just because Luana Santos is such a big favorite, but she's the younger fighter, the less experienced fighter, and she's coming in on short notice. Mariya Agapova had an opponent on this date, and she was supposed to fight on this card. She was supposed to go against, maybe not. No, this fight is definitely thrown together just very last minute.
Just trying to fill this card up.
Fill the card up.
This card was like, how many fights? 8 fights, 7 fights at one point.
Yeah.
At one point, I don't think they was even going to have an early prelims.
Yeah, and we barely scrape by with 11 now.
So, both of us picked Luana Santos, and you said by decision.
Yeah, I'm going to go Luana Santos by decision or a late finish.
Yeah, give me the same thing by decision. But I might see – but what if that second round sub line is looking good, Agapova's coming off 2 second-round subs, I might follow that trend. But next fight, we got Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Fatima Kline, who is a debut coming in on very short notice.
Yeah, another one.
I think this fight was just put together like yesterday. Coming up from 115, is a 2-weight Cage Fury champ.
Yeah.
A lot of Erin Blanchfield on her Instagram, so I feel like she's been training with Erin Blanchfield. Decent girl to be getting some sparring sessions in with.
Oh my God.
She's got good grappling, good wrestling, and that's exactly what she's gonna want to do here. Jasudavicius. Her name always kills me.
Oh, bro. Yeah, it's deep.
Good pressure, good wrestling herself, good defensive wrestling as well, takedown defense.
Yeah.
Striking is kind of subpar, but she will just
Very vanilla.
she'll walk forward and she'll engage.
Another tough one,
Coming off a sub win against Priscilla Cachoeira, but everybody subs Priscilla Cachoeira.
Yeah.
Priscilla
catch a body.
Really a hard one to call. I mean, you got a debut. You're getting Jazz, who has UFC experience, so has some UFC fights under her belt. You got Kline coming in late notice as a debut, probably just to kind of get her opportunity and get her foot in the door.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But this line, I just want to point out the line movement. She opened a plus 200 dog and immediately got pushed to a negative 130.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like Kline to get this late notice win. Hard one to put some money behind. I might bet for it to go the distance if they feel like this might be like a firefight, maybe a quick sub or something. And they'll give me a decent line on the over. I might touch that. But as far as picking a side, it's just kind of hard to tell because I haven't really seen too much of Kline. But for the show, I gotta make a pick.
Yeah, you gotta put it out there.
So give me Jasudavicius. And I just off experience.
Right. So that's it's kind of where I'm at because Jasmine Jasudavicius is 4-2 in the UFC. She's a big tough girl, like Pat said. She's not really, her striking isn't really good. It's just good enough, to get her through a fight. It's not really anything that's going to wow you or impress you, or she's not going to have a sick little combo that you're just mind blown by or anything like that. She's kind of like a Nate Diaz type, but in women's flyweight. She's just very tough, kind of always in your face. She's going to be there the whole fight. She does have wins over people like Kay Hansen, Miranda Maverick, Priscilla Cachoeira. She's just a hard, tough girl. And I don't know if Tapology has it wrong or what. Tapology has her name as Fatima Kline. So I don't know if it's Fatima or Katima, but whatever it is. She is a dominant wrestler too. Like Pat said, she trains with Aaron Blanchfield, who everybody knows. That's pretty much Aaron Nurmagomedov. She's coming out there to do one thing, and that is to ragdoll you, throw you around, dominate you for however long it takes until you slip up, give up your back and your neck and arm, whatever she can get a hold of. So to pretty much just sum it up, I'm going to go Jasmine just off the experience. She's had a full camp. She's got, she's proven herself. She's proven herself to go all 15 in the UFC under the bright lights. She's done that. We don't know much about Fatima yet. She is 6-0. She was a double champ. So she does have the ability and the skill to be good and to get wins and to beat people, but we just haven't seen it yet in the UFC. So the line movement is something to pay attention to because that is wild that she opened a plus 200 and now she swung to minus 130. But my pick is...
I actually, just my bad, I
No,
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it actually swung all the way to minus 170 and then came back down to minus 130. So people started to see that plus 150, plus 160 on Jazz, and swung it back the other way, but it's staying right there.
We've also had where we've had this week off of no fights. People have enough time to really kind of fluctuate this line. We're still Sunday, so we're still 6 days out from the card. It'll probably fluctuate some more. But yeah, give me Jasmine. I'm not going to bet this fight at all unless this line keeps getting wider. If Jasmine jumps randomly to like a plus 150, plus 160, I might sprinkle it, might throw it in like a 2-3 leg parlay, but Jasmine's the pick. So
yeah, and by decision?
Yeah. Jasmine by decision for sure. So next fight on the card, we got Joshua Van and Charles Johnson. So Joshua Van is 10-1, 3-0 in the UFC. He is a very exciting striker. He's one of the smoothest strikers in the UFC, and especially in that flyweight division. He got thrown in against Zumagulov in his debut, and he won a tough decision against Kevin Borjas, and he got a ground and pound TKO his last time out. So he is a very well-rounded. He's still young, very young, but already he's showing like great like flashes of potential. On the other side, we have Charles Johnson, who is 15-6, 4-4 in the UFC. He's a long, lanky striker with good takedown defense and scrambles. He's made his living stuffing these wrestlers' takedown attempts that he goes against and then working off his jab. Got good cardio, good fight IQ. But if you bet him, he's going to have you screaming at your TV the entire time just because he's so like low output sometimes that he'll just stand there and he'll just faint. And he'll faint and he'll circle out whatever. When he should be shooting a takedown, he's not shooting. Like when he's going against somebody that has no takedown defense, that he should just be dominating, he's just standing there fainting, trying to strike with them. It's just sometimes he has good fight IQ, other times it's trash. But I feel like this is the UFC trying to test Joshua Van and see what his level is because they know Charles Johnson is going to give him a tough fight. Like he's not just going to lay down. Like you either have to put his lights out or you have to dominate him to get Charles Johnson out of there. So my pick's going to be Joshua Van. I'm a fan already, so it might just be a little biased because I think his striking is so smooth. But yeah, give me Joshua Van, probably by decision just because Charles is so tough. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Joshua Van too. But Charles Johnson does probably have a path to win in this fight if he
with some wrestling.
Yeah, he has good wrestlings and he has good defensive wrestling. But I don't think Joshua Van's going to implement any wrestling.
No,
I think he just wants to get some striking off. He's compact, like he doesn't make a lot of mistakes on the feet. So when he throws something, he just brings it right back. He's super defensive on the feet. I think he absorbs like one strike per minute.
He's
just super defensive and elusive on the feet. Johnson, good wrestler, decent Muay Thai. I mean, decent striking, but like you said, doesn't really throw a lot.
Right.
But that is against, I feel like more wrestle heavy people. Like that. He's kind of afraid of a takedown and kind of wants to stay on the outside.
Trying to think about
thinking about it, scared to let his hands go and sit down on his feet. So here he definitely has a path if he takes it, but probably just ends up a 3-round striking match, and I'm always going to take the better striker.
Right.
So give me Joshua Van, probably by decision because, like you said, Charles Johnson is tough.
Honestly, the line right now as of Sunday is -192 for Joshua Van, +160 for Charles Johnson. I would not be mad at anybody saying they're going to play that Charles Johnson line at dog money just because, like Pat said, he has a clear path to victory. If he is able to get a hold of Joshua Van and get him down, because Charles Johnson does have good wrestling, but it just seems like he prefers to strike also, which kind of throws me off sometimes. But
to add to that, Joshua Van did just come off of a camp training for Tagir.
Right.
Ulanbekov, so probably has been in there
working on that
takedown defense, working them sprawls, working that cage game, all that. So
that's a good point.
So Joshua Van and by decision.
22 years old still too.
Yeah.
So all right, so the next fight is Cody Brundage and Abdul Razak AlHassan.
We got Cody Brundage, Abdul Razak Hassan sitting at -155. He probably is the more powerful striker, I would say.
Yeah.
All of his UFC wins are round 1 KOs.
Yeah.
And I think like 1 round 2 KO.
Right.
But doesn't really mix it up a lot. Just kind of wants to strike.
Just likes to bang.
Piper was scared to strike with him. He was shooting takedowns.
You could see he didn't want to stand there. He felt a little bit of that power.
He was subbing.
Instantly turned into a wrestler.
Yeah, he said, I'm going to wrestle this guy. I'm going to get that sub.
Yeah.
Which is smart, but just comes to show his power. Brundage, he's a quitter. Quitting his last. He fought Bo Nickel in his last fight.
Yeah, his last
fight. The fight before that.
Right.
Jacob Malkoon.
Just gave up.
Just gave up. Took that easy way out. I feel like he never really utilized a game plan. He pulls Gilly sometimes.
He just tries to rely on, like, I hope I'm a better wrestler than them.
Accepts bottom. He is physical and does have the wrestling.
Yeah.
Like you said. But is he going to use that?
I don't know.
Or is he going to stand and bang?
He had a wrestling heavy training camp last fight for Bo Nickel, so he could still have that, but at the same time, that was more so defensive wrestling, trying to like keep it on the feet with Bo Nickel. So
he might try to strike with this guy, get knocked out.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say because I feel like this kind of just gonna be a firefight, like all over the place. But give me Abdul Razak Hassan because I just feel like Cody Brundage can't be trusted.
Right. So yeah, I'm riding my pad on this one.
I think he's gonna finish him too.
I'm definitely going to go with Abdul just off the simple fact that Cody Brundage, like he has the tools to be a good fighter, but it seems like sometimes he just either doesn't train hard enough or just doesn't give a fuck. Because it's like sometimes when he should be the clear-cut favorite to win a fight, he comes out and just looks like dog shit. And then other times, like with Bo Nickel, I personally thought Bo was going to get him out of there first round finish because Cody's a wrestler, Bo's a wrestler, whatever. Different. There's levels to this shit. But Cody put up a good fight in the first, and and Bo was trying to get him out of there and just couldn't. And then in the second, it was like, damn, I'm tired. And it just his takedown defense was a little less, sharp in the second, and Bo got his back, choked that motherfucker out. It was a wrap. So in this, it's like, yeah, Cody should come in here, take Abdul down, and be able to implement some ground and pound. But he's probably not going to. He's probably going to shoot sloppy just because he can't decide if he wants to be a striker or a wrestler. He can't decide. He can't, like Pat said, he doesn't have a game plan. He just kind of comes in and wings it. So it's like, you can't trust that, Whereas Abdul trains with people like Damon Jackson, Alex Morono, Alonzo Minifield, Jeff Neal. He's coached by Saif Saud. So it's like, he's got good coaching. He's going to have a game plan, so.
And his last two losses, Abdul, Buckley and Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
With the split decision with Buckley, and that's a good win or a good loss that aged well.
Buckley would dominate Cody Brundage.
And just way better competition than Cody Brundage.
Right. So, yeah, give me Abdul. I'm going to say probably by finish also, by knockout. But I'm not going to lie to you. If we get in the second round and Cody's still there, I'm going to be clinched up a little bit because that's not going to be – I might throw him in a parlay, at that line. What's that line? Minus 155. I feel like that's a good parlay piece. But if we get in the second and third round, I'm definitely going to be clinched up. So I'm going to be a little nervous. So our next fight, we got Christian Rodriguez and Julian Erosa. Christian Rodriguez, 11-1, 4-1 in the UFC. He is the prospect hunter. This man is just taking out all the prospects. He's a hype train killer who gladly takes these dangerous fights, finds a way to win. He's got clean hands, he's got good wrestling, crazy scrambles. He's beat, young prospects like Rosas Jr., like Cameron Simon, like Isaac Dolgarian, which is wild. I'm still big on Isaac, Midwest Chopper.
That was a controversial decision.
Yeah. I think it was a robbery, but I'm biased, so I'm going to say that. But on the other side, he's got Julian Erosa. He's 29-11. He's 7-7 in the UFC. He's a tough and tested UFC journeyman. He's a tough fight for anyone at 145, really, with his ability to strike and wrestle. He trains at Extreme Couture, with crazy-ass people like Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis, all those guys. Dan Ige, who just took that fight on 4 hours' notice, last week. This fight's tough for me to pick just because I feel like I always pick wrong when it comes to Christian Rodriguez. Like, anytime I fade him thinking Raul Rosas Jr., I faded Christian Rodriguez. What did he do? He came out, beat Rosas Jr. I faded him against Isaac Dolgarian. What's he do? Comes out, somehow gets that decision, So it seems like I always pick him wrong, but Erosa does have way more experience. He's better at striking, from what I've been able to see. I'm slightly going to lean Christian Rodriguez, but I've picked against, I picked wrong every time I pick him. So just take that with a grain of salt. What do you think?
I like Christian Rodriguez too. He is coming up. He came up against Dolgarian. He was fighting 135. had trouble cutting the weight. So now he's trying a new weight class, 145. Julian Erosa, somebody with a lot of experience in this weight class, right?
Oh yeah, dog.
7-7 in the UFC, so a lot of fights in the UFC, 50%, but a lot of probably decent competition. He does have a sub bag, so he's chinny.
Yeah,
I feel like that's his main downfall right now.
He gets dropped.
He's getting chin. He's been KO'd 6 times in the UFC, so 6 out of his 7 losses he done been put out. Did sub Ricardo Ramos, sub Charles Jourdain, and Sean Woodson. So he does have a decent sub bag. Christian Rodriguez, I feel like he's going to be the better boxer on the feet, but Julian Erosa does have kind of them long kicks, kind of like them karate kicks.
Right.
So maybe he can stay on the outside. This line did open. Christian Rodriguez, I think, minus 300 and moved down. I think it's minus 205 now. So a lot of people like that big plus money on Julian Erosa.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Christian Rodriguez has faced a bunch of prospects, a bunch of new faces in the UFC, people that they're trying to build, and they're like, oh, okay, let's see if he's really the real deal yet. C-Rod, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You ready? And then he kind of just shows up and then shuts them down. No, boss, they're not ready yet.
Yeah. It's crazy because the people he fights, he beats them at their own game. So Royal Rosas Jr.,
because he's an overall fighter. He's pretty much good anywhere the fight goes. Right. Like you said, he has great scrambles on the feet. Yep. He's a good defensive wrestler, offensive wrestler. He can hold his own with the hands.
He has sub threat.
Good cardio. Yeah. He can go all three in a fast paced fight.
But he did miss weight, like you said.
Yeah, just weight cut issues. Minus 205. I don't love the number, but I do think he slides by in this fight. Maybe not. I hate to say he doesn't KO Julian Erosa because Julian Erosa likes getting KO'd lately.
Yeah. Chinny.
But I'm going to go Christian Rodriguez, and I'm going to go by decision because Julian Erosa does have that experience, and maybe he can take him 3 rounds. So
I can see
what you think?
I can see it.
Oh, you already gave
me Yep. I already picked Christian Rodriguez.
Cool. So. You said by decision?
I think I did. Yeah, by decision. If I didn't, then I could see a decision, but I wouldn't be shocked by a knockout. So your next fight is Gabriel Bonfim and Ange Loosa.
Bonfim, was a huge prospect. Got shut down in his last fight as a minus 650 favorite to our boy Dalby.
Yeah, insane.
Has a crazy sub bag, early finisher. So a lot of first round, second round sub finishes. And that's kind of what he needs to do. Because he's never seen a decision, I don't believe, in his life.
Who are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Check me on that. I don't believe he's Gabriel Bonfim. I don't think he's ever seen a decision, win or lose,
never
in an MMA fight.
Never. 12 wins by submission, 3 wins by KO.
Kind of like, I'm going to put it all on you in 1 round and loses it. Or, as we seen last fight, lost it in the second and couldn't maintain that pace. But that is against Dalby, somebody who's been tested. Ange Loosa, a lot of low output, so a lot of nothing.
Stands there,
but is tough. He's physically strong. Both his UFC wins are by decision. So he did quit against Brian Battle, which kind of showed he was just trying to find a way out of there. He was getting pieced apart bad. Yeah. But Brian Battle, a decent prospect coming up as well.
Tough.
Super tough and rangy, was just using his length on Ange Loosa and just picking him apart on the outside.
Right.
I feel like Ange Loosa has taken some good competition the distance, So he's been tested by a few people. I don't like to just judge him off his last fight. He has been he went to a decision with Jack Della Maddalena,
which is tough to do.
Which definitely a different type of style. Bonfim's obviously going to want to get a hold of him, take him to the ground, get a quick sub. But if he doesn't, that minus 395, minus 400 line ain't going to be looking too
It's going to be looking risky.
You're going to be coming in that second round, and he's probably going to be looking a little bit tired. So I'm gonna definitely stay away from that as far as betting wise. If I bet it, it's gonna be Ange Loosa money line, or it's gonna be Ange Loosa by decision. Because maybe he can last by a low output Ange Loosa, but just not get his game plan off in the first. Maybe win the first, have a crazy output in the first, get him down. Maybe Ange Loosa survives, gets up in the second, and then just kind of picks him apart from there. Potentially even a late Ange Loosa finish, even though he's not a finisher in the UFC yet. He only has decision wins, but could see that because that's what we've seen in his last fight against Dalby. Obviously, it's a different guy, and styles make matchups. So I want to jump on a limb here and pick Ange Loosa, but the most likely outcome, Gabe Bonfim is probably going to get a turnaround win and do something big in the first. But if I bet this, it's probably going to be Ange Loosa or Ange Loosa by decision. What you think?
Respectfully, I feel where you're coming from on that.
I just feel like that line's going to be juice. What
Yeah.
I mean by me not betting the first round, I just feel like you're not going to get good value on it.
Yeah, me personally, I don't like taking dog plays on somebody that I just hasn't shown me like
he quit in his last fight. He quit in his last fight. Yeah.
So that's definitely not somebody, in my personal opinion, that I would ever take a flyer on, thinking he could outlast Gabriel Bonfim. I know where you're coming from because Gabriel looked so terrible in that second round of that fight
against Dalby, though.
Against Dalby,
and he's way more output. He's going to put way more on him.
It's worth it to mention too that before that, we didn't even have a podcast yet, but we both knew before that fight, Nicholas Dalby was not the one to mess with, and we both said like this could be dangerous for him, and sure enough, it was dangerous for him. And
now he's even a bigger favorite in his next fight,
right,
against somebody who's been in the UFC and at least had some UFC fights.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, off that fight, Bonfim was getting cocky in that fight and was acting like Dalby's shots weren't hurting him and that he wasn't really, whatever. Like he kept telling him, come on, kick him again, whatever. And eventually that shit adds up, And I feel like that's just coming from his age and his like inexperience and him wanting to be a showman in the UFC. So I feel like that fight was definitely a learning experience for him. And when we're talking about the skill gap wise, Nicholas Dalby's way better than Ange Loosa as far as like his pressure, his striking, just that relentlessness that he's going to put on you. So I personally think Gabriel Bonfim, I'm not going to play like the money line, or I'm not going to put it in a parlay because minus 400 coming off a loss. I don't trust that. But my pick, I think Gabriel Bonfim wins this fight. I think he wins it pretty dominantly.
First round?
Nah, I don't give him first round. I mean, I could see it first round.
I do pick Bonfim. If I'm betting it, I'm going on the opposite side because I think he's just not to be trusted as a heavy favorite.
But Bonfim does have on his record a lot of round 1 finishes, but he's also got round 3 finishes, round 2 finishes. So it's like he's done it before. Granted, those were in, LFA was the round 3 and, Future FC was the round 2. But my pick's going to be Gabriel Bonfim. I'm not going to bet it, but I think he makes this fight look pretty easy. So the next fight is one that we were talking about at the beginning when we were going back to our recap. We got Drew Dober versus Gene Silva. Drew Dober, 27-13, 13-9 in the UFC. So he's got 40 professional fights altogether. Crazy experience. He's got one of, if not the biggest chin in the UFC. This man is the Crimson Chin from the Fairly Odd Parents, if you guys remember who that is. He can take a punch, but he's also been knocked out before. He's got 11 wins by KO, 9 by sub, 7 by decision. So it shows that, Drew Dober's, he could take the fight wherever it needs to go. He's just one of those well-rounded, country-fed, strong chin fighters, On the other side, we got Gene Silva, who literally just fought 2 weeks ago against Charles Jourdain. He's 13-2, 2-0 now in the UFC. This man's scary. This man's got scary power. We talked about it on the last breakdown. Trains at a very good gym. Trains with some very good teammates, the Fighting Nerds. Just put those little glasses on Joe Rogan. Had him out there looking wild. It's just so hard to pick against somebody like Drew Dober, who we've seen be tested so many times by these prospects, big, powerful, scary prospects like a Terrence McKinney or like, who all the other list of names that he's fought. We did see him get knocked out by Matt Frivola, but, some people consider that an early stoppage and think that Drew wasn't out. That's, still up for debate. But just based off the experience, give me Drew Dober in this, and I'm probably going to be 0-2 2 weeks in a row by going against Gene Silva. But I just cannot count Drew Dober out, who's seen these prospects, who's beat prospects before, who is well-rounded, and who isn't. He might be taking this on short notice too, so don't.
This was just put together.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
definitely
I knew Gene
short
Silva
notice.
I wasn't sure if Drew already had an opponent and it fell out. But my pick is Drew Dober.
Yeah, I believe Drew was supposed to be on his card against Nazim Salikhov
at
one point.
So then, Drew Dober has had a full camp. Granted, it's not against.
But it was thrown together super late.
So, but yes, give me. Mike Davis too.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Mike Davis. I
Yeah.
feel like Nazim Salikhov was supposed to fight somebody else, and then they was trying to match them up.
Yeah,
that would have actually been a great fight. I feel like
crazy, but yeah, give me Drew Dober. Give me Drew Dober by decision, just because I'm not sure if Gene Silva is somebody that's going to go ahead and get finished, but there is a possibility because Drew Dober does have knockouts and submissions. But the pick is Dober. What do you think?
Facts. Big step up for Gene Silva.
Yeah.
Drew Dober is just one of them guys, man. He's just been tested in the UFC.
Quick.
He's gritty.
He's
tough.
A lightweight, too.
Talk about that Matt Frivola stoppage. That was an early stoppage.
Yeah.
Drew Dober was still in there. He was still trying to fight. As soon as he got up, he rolled over, put his hands up like, why are you stopping?
Right.
Come on. You got to let the dog fight. Great pocket boxing. I feel like Gene Silva showed some good stuff against Charles Jourdain, but can he show that against Drew Dober?
Bigger, way bigger. This is at lightweight, and that was a featherweight.
At a stepped up weight division. So definitely a big step up. So Drew Dober at Pick'ems against this guy who just came off a weight cut. Obviously, he's not cutting as much weight because he's coming up.
Weight too.
And this might be his natural weight.
This might be Dana saying you're not fighting at featherweight, but you're a lightweight.
Because I feel like he has missed a couple times at that weight. Like you said, Dober does have great scrambling. So if Gene Silva wants to get some wrestling going, Drew Dober can probably negate that and just make this a dog. We're just gonna stand and bang.
We're just gonna, I don't know. Drew wants to do that though because Gene's.
That's what Drew wants to do.
He's got a chin.
Come on, bro. You know that's what Drew wants to do. He wants to stand and bang. He wants to knock you out. Right. He ties the KO record with Dustin Poirier for the most lightweight KOs.
Which is wild.
So they're both tied at 9 KOs.
Yeah.
He done caught 9 bodies and
40 fights. Crazy.
Big opportunity for Gene Silva, but it might be a little bit too much too soon.
Too quick.
So give me Dober and give me Dober by knockout.
Ooh,
I know, see it. I know that's really it's going to depend on the line. It always depends on the line when it comes to the betting.
Right.
If they're giving me a crazy number on the decision, maybe I'll take a fly
go
on
against what you normally
do. But
do.
as far as my pick, I'm going to go Drew Dober by KO.
Hey, it's wild too because Pat loves decision props. That's his thing. Everybody that knows him knows that, and he didn't play it like he normally does a couple weekends ago. And we get a card full of them. Man. So don't.
Yep, you get a majority decision card, and I done strayed away from my game plan. That's why you got an edge. You got to keep it.
Yeah, you got that gut feeling. You got to just roll with it. So
facts.
Next fight on the card: Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikhov.
Ponzinibbio coming off I think, 1.5 year layoff.
It's been a minute since that Kevin Holland
loss. Trains at American Top Team. Good gym. He's had a lot of good wins, good competition wins in the UFC.
Right.
But also his losses are to great competition as well, like split decision, close losses to Michelle Pereira, to Jeff Neal.
Even that Kevin Holland fight that he lost, that was a close fight until Kevin caught him,
Yeah, facts. So definitely just tested in the UFC, 11-6 in the UFC. That's 17 fights. That's a lot of fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
Muslim Salikhov, like we was talking about before the pod, just Not very good.
No.
Um,
Old man.
Low output, kind of on the feet. Sometimes gets a little bit of offensive wrestling going, but not much. Just kind of stands there and relies on like a big boink. He was finishing his last fight by Randy Brown, and Randy Brown's not even really somebody I consider a finisher.
He's known as
we
a
was just
decision
talking about
machine.
him in a few pods ago about him being a decision fighter, just like to point people up. Caught Salikhov. I think Ponzinibbio probably going to do the same thing.
I do too.
So give me Ponzinibbio minus 205. Decent parlay piece, maybe. Ponzinibbio by points if they're giving me crazy plus money, but my pick for the pod is going to be Ponzinibbio, and I think if Randy Brown can finish him, then Ponzinibbio can finish him.
Yeah.
So give me Ponzinibbio by finish. What you think?
That's what I don't have much to add because I'm pretty much right there with him. Like he said, Ponzinibbio has fought very solid competition. He's fought pretty much everybody in that welterweight division. He's given everybody pretty much tough fights. Even that Kevin Holland fight, it was 1-1 going into that third, and Kevin just caught him with that extra hook added to the end of his combination, and it just flash KO'd him. It was a good fight overall, though. And before that, Alex Morono, him and Alex Morono were going to war, and he caught Alex Morono there in that third. I remember that busted one of my parlays, and it was very I was pissed, to say the least. But Muslim Salikhov, 40 years old, he does have that sambo. He comes from that sambo background. But where he's so old now, he's just kind of looking for that, like Pat said, that one big shot to lay somebody out, or he's going to give it his all in that first round, trying to get you down and sub you. After that, if you can survive that or stay away from the clinch, it's a wrap. You can get him out of there. So give me Ponzinibbio by KO. I could see him winning by a decision, but I think he knocks out because he has good power. Ponzinibbio has good power, good striking, tough, Argentinian. So give me Ponzinibbio.
Yes,
so
sir.
The next fight and the main event of the card, we got Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. Rose Namajunas is 12-6, 10-5 in the UFC. She is a former strawweight champ who is now coming up to flyweight. When it comes to striking, there's not really very many people in the UFC women's divisions that are better than Rose Namajunas. She's got very good striking. She's very technical, has sneaky good power. Just by looking at her, you wouldn't know that she, can get those knockouts, but she can. Very well-rounded, very good on the ground, has a very big, very good submission bag. On the other side, we have Tracy Cortez, who stepped in on short notice to replace Macy Barber, who pulled out hurt. She's 11-1, 5-0 in the UFC. She has pretty good fight IQ. She has good striking. She's tough. She can hold her own on the ground. She did date Brian Ortega for a while, so I'm sure she got a lot of that jiu-jitsu training in. She's got some submission wins. She's got, I think a TKO or two on her record. She has a lot of potential in the UFC. She's still very young in this division. The fight has the ability to be exciting, but where it's on short notice, I do not see this fight going all 5. My pick is going to be Rose Namajunas. I feel like she's just going to be able to put that volume on Tracy Cortez and either catch her, or if it ends up on the ground in some crazy scramble or something happening, I feel like Rose has the ability to end up on her back, choke her out, find a submission. Rose is just very good. I like that line too, that minus 225 line on Rose. But Tracy Cortez is dangerous, and she's definitely somebody that has a bright future in the UFC. Just right now, I feel like Rose is too much for her and a big step up to take on short notice. So what do you think?
I'm definitely on the Rose side. I'm a Rose fan. I named my dog after Rose. She gonna get this win. She gonna beat Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez, you gotta shout her out though for taking this fight, trying to move up in them rankings.
Yeah,
taking a chance.
Big opportunity.
Obviously Rose has been training for Macy Barber, so she's been training for that gritty, come forward, I'm gonna wrestle you, I'm gonna throw heavy, I'm gonna throw heavy stuff at you. She's been training for that type of style. Right. Tracy Cortez has gotten takedowns in every single one of her UFC wins, besides her win against Jasudavicius. who was on his card, who we talked about, is very good at just negating
Right. Very tough.
the wrestling. All of her wins are decisions in the UFC. I don't believe she's ever been 5 rounds in a main event or a championship fight, obviously.
No, definitely not.
So she does have a win over Erin Blanchfield in Invicta. So maybe they're like, hey, you get this win against Rose, boom, we'll move you further up the line. We'll let Erin Blanchfield get that, get her chance to get that dub back from you. But shout out to Rose as well she was supposed to fight Macy, who's ranked 4th. I believe Rose is like 7 or 8. So she actually had an opportunity to move up in rankings, potentially get another title shot at 120.
10 now at flyweight to Cortez's 13
at 125. So I mean, she is a former champ. Her resume is deep.
Right.
I mean,
she's fought the who's who for sure.
She does have trouble with wrestlers though.
Yeah.
Carla Esparza, especially.
I feel like that more so just had her shook. Like she was just
so scared of a takedown. Maybe makes her a little bit more low volume.
Right.
She did look good in her last fight against Amanda Ribas.
Yeah.
Who kind of implemented like the I'm gonna mix it up on you type game plan. We're gonna strike a little bit. She handled that well.
She got the same kind of style.
Almost. I don't hate Rose by decision. The fact Tracy Cortez hasn't been 5 rounds. It's hard to kind of bet on her cardio.
Right.
Maybe Rose gets a late finish, or like you said, finds a sub in a grappling exchange or something like that. Just give me Rose for sure. She's definitely my pick. If they're giving me plus money on a decision, I'm gonna take a shot at that as well. So give me Rose by decision.
Right. So we're both on the same side.
Decent card, but it sucks to have a women's fight as a main event.
It does, and we got another one too coming up pretty much in a few weeks also that was thrown together last minute. So it's going to be a rough month, rough next couple cards, but we got some big pay-per-views coming up. They're putting together that perf card, that spear card, that UFC spear card is going to be in September.
You said next week, another week off?
I don't know if it's another week off.
What we got going next week?
So the next fight night after this is Lemos and Jandaroba. And that one is going to be July 20th. So that's when today's this. Yeah, so that's going to be another week off.
Another week off, man. Yeah, we're going to we should try to get something else in. Some type of video, even if it's an early predictions video or something, just to keep it more consistent. I feel like we took 2 weeks off. So maybe if we could keep something else up, even if it's not a prediction video, maybe like some different type of content, like some fights we'd like to see. You know, maybe we'll make some matchups in some divisions and just some future speculation, throw together some early parlays or something. But other than that, what episode was this?
6. Episode 6.
Episode 6. Split decisions. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Justin.
And we appreciate y'all watching.
Yep. See y'all.